Part 54. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 531. This is not Eternal Academy, nor is it Free Continent. It is a place that the Holy Light Judgment Office will not care about. She is used to being restrained and has always kept a low profile. What happened between Yin Baikan and Yin Yaonian also taught her that she shouldn't show too much edge as a person. But it doesn't mean that these people can bully her relatives and friends. When it's time to show off, you must be quick and accurate. When she has the ability to protect them, she will stand in front of them without hesitation. When Sci-Fi said this, his tone was calm and casual, as if he was just going to have a cup of morning tea. Xiaoyu's heart suddenly shook. He looked at the steel bar that Sci-Fi handed to him, his fingers slowly tightened, and he let out a breath. He was harassed by Kukaki Kani in various ways for nearly 4 months. In order not to cause trouble to others, he was used to being injured during this period, and he was even more used to hiding in a corner and bandaging alone. Really, how could there be someone like Sci-Fi? Even though he was always in trouble, he still thought of helping others. Sci-Fi spoke again, "Do you know what to do?" Xiaoyu chuckled, "Teacher Si just gave me a practical practice. Of course I know that I can't live up to Teacher C's teachings." His eyebrows were unfocused, he turned the steel bar in his hand and looked at Kukaki Kanada. Then, he followed Sci-Fi's example. The sound of chi was the sound of his shoulder being penetrated, and Kukaki Kani let out a scream. Xiaoyu's hand paused, and he pointed to his shoulder, with a smile in his voice and said unhurriedly, "Do you know how many times I have suffered this kind of injury? 13 times. Fortunately, the evolved person's self-healing speed is faster than that of ordinary people, otherwise his shoulder would have been disabled long ago." The next second, blood splattered everywhere, and Kukaki Kani screamed again. At this moment, she was closer than ever to Xiaoyu, but to her, this handsome face was like an evil Shura ghost. Kukaki Kanada couldn't imagine that Xiaoyu, who seemed to be such a gentle person, could be so ruthless in his methods. The pain in his limbs swept through his whole body, and his internal organs were tumbling violently at this moment. Kukaki Kanadi had never been injured to this extent before. She kept screaming in pain, rolling on the ground, and cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Yun Fengzi saw this and snorted coldly. "This guy is a slow learner. Does it hurt?" Sci-Fi bent down slightly and smiled coldly, "You haven't faced a god-killing machine yet, so why does it hurt?" She has spent a long time at the Intercontinental Research Institute and naturally knows the origin of the machine. At that time, the evolved people relied on their physical strength and endurance that were beyond ordinary people to do evil things. Coupled with the evolved abilities, ordinary people had no way to deal with them. The god-killing machine was born in response to the times and became an excellent weapon to restrain the evolved ones. It was an invention of the Senate, and then one of the senators rebelled, went to revenge, and created a higher-level machine. The god-killing machine can not only perfectly target the weaknesses of the evolved people, but also amplify their pain through the genetic loopholes of the evolved people. Xiaoyu was seriously injured and dying, and he only managed to hold on until she arrived. 1 minute later and the consequences would be disastrous. Bear it. Sci-Fi smiled slightly, "It's not over yet." Kukaki Kani reacted no matter how stupid she was, her lips trembled fiercely, You led me here on purpose." She never thought that in front of Sci-Fi, the two things she was proud of would fail. As an A-level bloodline, she was suppressed so completely by Sci-Fi, and her surname of Kukaki was not even worth mentioning. Even Kukaki Minjaya would be pleasant when facing Sci-Fi, so who was she? But Kani Kukaki still held on to her last hope. She was furious and her voice came out from between her teeth, "Ajitsu Kukaki. You actually helped an outsider to bully me. If the elders find out, they will never let you go." Kukaki Minjaya slowly yawned, Still expressionless, boring. Let's go. I fucking stretched, treat her the same way she did to you. Don't be soft-hearted. Xiaoyu put his hands in his pockets, still looking casual. I will follow Teacher C's teachings. Knowing that Xiaoyu almost died at the hands of Kukaki Kani several times, Yun Fengzi had no mercy for her. Several people ignored Kukaki Kana, who was still conscious, and left the villa. I fucking went to the vending machine next to him and bought a can of iced coke. The weather is really nice. Kukaki Minjiao held Tienkong Yunjian, glanced at her, and said lightly, how is your recovery? Level A, maybe. I fucking clasped his fingers. Tisk, that's too weak. Kukaki Minjiao nodded, it's too weak. Yun Fengzi became numb again after hearing the conversation between the two. When can an A level be called weak? How can 95% of the evolved people survive? An hour later, Xia Yangkaiu finally rushed over. After she finished handling the emergency, she didn't even take a breath, and her eyes were still blue and black from exhaustion. I fucking then introduced Kukaki Minjiao, this is Aunt Xia, does she look like me? We are destined to be together. When Kukaki Minjiao expressed his cordial greetings to her with the face of a girl without a girl, Xia Yangkaiu said. She finally understood why Yun Fengzi told her that his worldview was shattered. Hers will be broken too. Xia Yangkaiu looked at Kukaki Minjiao with some regret. Hey, why is your age so embarrassing? In his early 20s, he couldn't get anywhere in the world. She couldn't even help him go on a blind date. Xiaoyu lazily raised his head, a wise man never falls in love. Xia Yangkaiu sneered, where did this nonsense come from? Xiaoyu, teached by teacher Si. Xia Yangkaiu, well said. Xiaoyu. The double standard was really played by Ms. Xia. Although Xiaoyu has returned to action, he still needs to recuperate. Yun Fengzi booked a hotel and sent Xia Yangkaiu and Xiaoyu to rest. And Xia, you give me a familiar feeling. Looking at the backs of the three of them, Kukaki Minjiao suddenly said, I seem to have seen her somewhere, it seems to be Free Continent. Si fucking's fox eyes narrowed slightly, huh. The genes of evolvers are very unstable, and there are no genetic rules to speak of. The genes may appear after several generations. But there have been no naturally born evolvers in the past 100 years. She checked the Xia family in 49 cities and traced their ancestors back to their ancestors. There was no evolver in the Xia family either. The result was that Xia Yangkaiu, an A-level evolver, was indeed a bit strange. Maybe I feel wrong. Kukaki Minjiao shook his head slightly. Eternal College is about to start school, and I will go to help as a teaching assistant. Do you still plan to come back? As an onmyoji, it was difficult for her to explain what happened to Si fucking. But so what? The development of all things has its own principles and laws. She didn't care. For her, the unchanging soul is the most important thing. Si fucking raised an eyebrow. With my current strength, I won't be beaten by a group of people if I go in. Kukaki Minjiao responded calmly, yes, you are somewhat self-aware. With your ability to attract hatred, group fights are light. Let's wait until the S level is restored. Si fucking's eyes narrowed and he whispered, the S level is barely enough. If she goes back now, she will just cause trouble to her senior brothers and sisters for no reason. Kukaki Minjiao said expressionlessly, I'm leaving. She had to rush back to play games and didn't want to hear such extremely Versailles remarks like S level is barely enough. Kukaki family. Kukaki is the surname derived from Dongsang, and the construction style of the mansion is no different from that of the four yin and yang families of Dongsang. As the day and night passed, Kukaki Kani's disappearance attracted the attention of her family. I looked around and couldn't get through my cell phone. Where's Kani? The middle-aged man rushed out and shouted, who has seen Kani? Everyone who heard this shout looked at each other. Kukaki Kanada always liked to play and often stayed up at night, so there was nothing to make a fuss about. The middle-aged man was so anxious that he was sweating profusely and immediately asked the housekeeper to find him. "First, sir." A few minutes later, the housekeeper came back and said tremblingly, "Miss Sixth's information is no longer in the information database. The information database of the Evolutionary Alliance is based on technology from the Intercontinental Research Institute, and its biggest advantage is that it is updated in a timely manner. Once an evolver's information disappears from the information database, it means that the evolver is dead. Of course, there is another possibility. That is, someone's computer technology has surpassed that of the Intercontinental Research Institute, and they can directly invade the information database to change and delete data at will. But for so many years in the Evolutionary Alliance, there has been no one who can do this." The middle-aged man's expression changed and his voice was stern. "What did you say?" The housekeeper knelt down with a plop, his body trembling continuously. "Sir, it's true, the lady's information can no longer be found." The middle-aged man couldn't help but take a few steps back and took a breath. Who did this? Although Cookaki Connie's bloodline is not the top in the world of evolvers, she is still A-level, and she has the noble surname Cookaki. How dare anyone dare to attack her? Who has Connie been in contact with recently? The middle-aged man's eyes were stern. Say quickly. The butler lowered his head and said, "The young lady said that she recently found a good marriage partner. Her bloodline is A-level or above, but she doesn't have any family background. She is still a star in the entertainment industry." Could it be? A star? The middle-aged man slammed the table and sneered, "It doesn't matter if he is the best actor of the year. Which evolver with pure and noble blood would lower his status and go to the entertainment industry? Where is this? Thank you." The middle-aged man knocked on the table. "He is filming." "Where is the crew?" Even if Xiaoyu didn't kill Connie, he definitely had something to do with him. He wanted to vent his anger on his daughter. No, not just him, but his family as well. The middle-aged man spoke again, his voice cold. "They will all be dealt with together. If you don't have power, you have to be at the mercy of others." Good morning. Hateful. There is nothing more punctual than the Xian epidemic situation. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 532. He wanted to see who dared to go against the Cookaki family. Mr. Tai Yan, the other party dares to kill even the young lady, so he must be very strong. Cold sweat broke out on the butler's forehead again. If we go there, what if dash? Report to the family first. Cookaki Taiyan sneered. I will take the escort team over and let them know who they have offended. You've hit the iron plate, but you still think you're safe? What a dream. The steward responded and went to find the steward. This way. After Sci-fi separated from Cookaki Minjiao, he asked her to help take care of the injured Xiaoyu in a short period of time before returning to Bizhu. After returning to the crew, she didn't take a break and worked overtime to finish filming 2 scenes. All the fighting scenes in The Heroine of the Kingdom are real fights, without any substitutes. Of course Sci-fi was also really falling. Although she is an evolved person, she is still flesh and blood. After a scene, there were quite a few bruises all over her body. Even director Lu couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to hire a few substitutes, but Sci-fi refused. The consequence of her refusal was that she was forced to lie on the sofa while Yu Xian gave her the medicine. There was a slight warmth on his fingertips, and the cold ointment fell on the skin, setting off a strange electric current. Sci-fi couldn't help but move. A voice immediately came from above, "Don't move." Sci-fi leaned his head on the pillow and said, "I'm itchy." Yu Xian's voice was calm, "Why don't you know how to be careful?" "I'm dedicated to my job," Sci-fi said lazily, "It's just a bruise. This little injury doesn't hurt me." Yu Xian's hand paused, and after a long while, he sighed, "When others were bullied, you rushed over immediately. Don't think about yourself at all." He applied the ointment to her last bruise and said in a cool tone, "It's done." I turned over and climbed up. She blinked, "Brother Jew, don't worry. If anyone bullies you, I will be the first to disagree and I will rush over immediately." During these few seconds of looking at each other, Uzion looked away. He knew that she would be wrong about him, but he didn't warn her and just smiled, "Then I'll look forward to it." What is there to look forward to? It's best not to happen. I moved his shoulders, but having said that, you are so powerful, who dares to bully you? It's far away, but it's so close. Uzion held his head, his smile deepened, "Young lady, you don't know." Damn it, I understood instantly, and she immediately picked up the pillow and hit him. "When did I bully you? It's obviously you who bullied me, you black-hearted monster." Uzion didn't move and allowed her to attack. I smashed it twice and stopped. His eyes were deep and filled with wet mist, which reminded him of a stuffed toy that had been soaked in the rain, very pitiful. I felt a knowing blow. It really seemed like she was bullying him. She looked at him faintly for a few seconds, then suddenly said, "You are so outrageous." Uzion's eyebrows moved slightly. "How do you say that?" "You are acting this way to gain my sympathy," I accused. "I will not be deceived by you." Uzion sighed, "I'm sorry." Was discovered. It seemed like he had to change his approach. At noon the next day, Kukaki Minjaya was practicing martial arts in the training room. A black shadow appeared on the wall of the practice room, and at the same time, the Tiankonjiun sword in her hand vibrated as if it sensed something. The black shadow gradually became clearer, and the man's figure was tall and straight. "It's you." Kukaki Minjaya didn't look back, her expression was indifferent. "She just left, you were late." "It's not convenient for me to see her right now." Yuan Mingqi nodded slightly, "I'm here to see you." Kukaki Minjaya then turned around, "Looking for me?" "You don't have to face each other to play games." "Well, Beiki misses you," Yuan Mingqi said, "I'll bring him over to have a look." The moment he saw Tiankongyunjian, Yamata no Orakai pounced towards it, all 8 tails wrapped around the sword. Kukaki Minjaya hesitated for a moment, but finally resisted the urge to get rid of Yamata no Orakai. She breathed slowly and told herself that for the sake of Yuan Mingqi taking her to play a copy, she would reluctantly accept his stupid shikigami. 10 minutes later, under the eyes of Kukaki Minjaya that could kill someone, Yamata no Orakai finally had enough of rubbing against him, and then he reluctantly went back. Even though Yamata no Orakai was just a spirit, Kukaki Minjaya still picked up a square handkerchief with an expressionless face and wiped the Tiankongyun sword carefully. Yamata no Orakai looked at Yuan Mingqi aggrievedly. Yuan Mingqi raised his eyebrows and smiled, "Miss Minjaya, are you interested in finding the other 2 divine swords?" "No, just let it happen." The simplest words, the most ruthless tone. Miss the captain of the guard knocked on the door. "You guessed it right. Kukaki Taiyan really made a report. He is now going out with the guard team." Kukaki Minjaya said, "Well, let's go down." She wiped the sweat from her head, put her sword on her back, and opened the door. Yuan Mingqi asked behind her, "Where to go?" "The ignorant people in the family bully her students." Kukaki Minjaya said, "Of course I want to help. I also saved her. These things are nothing compared to the life-saving grace." Yuan Mingqi's eyes moved slightly and his voice was very low, only he could hear, "Xiaju. He has a cold temperament and practices yin-yang and the 5 elements, so he is very indifferent to the people around him, even his brothers and sisters from the same sect. When we met on the street, the most we would do was nod. But junior sister is different." They didn't have much interaction at first, and he was just curious about how talented was to become the 9th disciple of the Cloud Summit. Later, she gained his recognition with her strong personality. Whatever good thing he has, he will think of her. Yuan Mingqi knows that Yu Jian is more difficult to get along with. but she treated Sci-fucking like her own sister. The fact that their junior sister has such a wide network of contacts is not due to luck. If the girl of luck has no ability, these luck will disappear sooner or later. Yuan Mingqi retracted his thoughts. I'll go with you. Kukaki Minjiao said calmly, then you are bigger than me. The top of the clouds leads a single disciple, whose reputation and prestige are far above those of the three major evolver families. I don't have any skills. Yuan Mingqi calmed down his aura and smiled lightly. An ordinary person, outside the Free State, has to rely on Miss Minjiao. Kukaki Minjiao gave him a cold look. Shut up. Although she was too lazy to care about the relationship between Yuan Mingqi and Sci-fucking. It's just that they come from the same deceitful mouth, and they really come from the same school. But she was not as patient with Yuan Mingqi as she was with Sci-fucking. Yuan Mingqi shrugged, followed her 2 steps behind and left. The captain of the guard was a little confused. Wasn't the eldest lady alone when she entered the practice room just now? What's going on with these extra men? This time, the hotel. Xia Yangkai was peeling an apple for Xia Yu, and cut it into small pieces very considerately. Yun Fengzi's eyes were already burning. He tried several times to expose Xia Yu's trick of pretending to be weak, but Xia Yangkai glared back before he could say anything. Just when Yun Fengzi was about to go out for a walk, out of sight and out of mind, the door to the room was kicked open. The extremely harmonious scene of a family of 3 was extremely dazzling in Kukaki Taigen's eyes. His daughter is gone, but the culprit is still in the mood to eat apples here. Kukaki Taigen looked serious. You are the one who killed my Kanada. There was no trace of fear on Xia Yangkai's face. She glanced at Kukaki Taigen. Is it you, the ugly one? She has extremely demanding aesthetics, so apart from combat uniforms, she only wears ready-made clothes produced by Lan for daily wear. The requirements for people are higher. Xia Yu said calmly, yes, unlike my father, a delicate and beautiful man, so eye-catching, right, Ms. Xia. Yun Fengzi endured it, and finally resisted the urge to kick him. He just let this kid run free for a few more days. Sooner or later, this kid will pay off all the accounts he took down. It turns out that you are quite capable. Kukaki Taigen squinted his eyes with a little more fear, but you don't think that 2A-level evolvers can fight against our Kukaki family, do you? Even the Kukaki family has 5 S-class evolvers. There are 40 or 50 A-levels. Kukaki Taigen knew that he was really no match for Xia Yu's family of 3, but what really gave him confidence was the name of the Kukaki family. Not to mention these evolvers without family background, even the Yin family and the Lotbar family would not come into conflict with them over such trivial matters. Xia Yu sighed quietly. It's over. Yun Fengzi said with a cold face, why are you sighing? Where does it hurt? A big man, can't you bear this little pain? After this day's study with teacher Si, when they say these words, they are often on the verge of death. Xia Yu's face turned pale, and he said weakly, Dad, don't be cruel to me. Xia Yangkai was furious. Yun Fengzi. Yun Fengzi. What a black-hearted lotus, he could bear it. Xia Yu took a bite of the apple Xia Yangkai had peeled and looked calm. Xia Yangkai stood up and moved his hand joints. I was worried that I had nowhere to vent my anger, so I came at the right time. Hearing this, Xia Yu and Yun Fengzi took a few steps back at the same time in a tacit understanding. Still want to vent your anger? You don't really want to quarrel with our Kukaki family, do you? Let me tell you, the eldest daughter of our Kukaki family is an S-class genius. Can you afford to offend her? Kukaki Taigen laughed angrily. Stop talking nonsense, arrest them all and take them away immediately. When I finish taking care of you, I will send you all to the laboratory. The Evolutionary Alliance laboratory was short of experimental subjects, so he could exchange some merit points. Kukaki Taigen waved his hand, and all the guards around him rushed forward. But at this moment, 2 footsteps sounded one after another. One is light and the other is low. Kukaki Taigen, you are so majestic. Kukaki Minjio's cool voice came from outside the door. Would you like to pack it up with me and send it to the laboratory? See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 533. Kukaki Taiyan's body suddenly froze. His body was a little stiff and it was difficult to turn his head back. When he saw Kukaki Minjio's frost-colored face, he was so shocked that he almost lost his voice. Eldest lady. Kukaki Taigen's thoughts couldn't be turned around for a while. Why is Kukaki Minjio here? And you said that? Kukaki Taiyan panicked instantly and lost his previous arrogance. Miss, how can I possibly deal with you? Give me 100 courages, and I won't dare to be disrespectful to you. Miss, please be careful. Although he was a generation higher than Kukaki Minjio, his achievements and strength were far from being comparable to hers. Of course I can only respect him. Really? Kukaki Minjio still said calmly, it seems that I heard wrongly. You didn't want to send the person who killed your daughter to the laboratory. Kukaki Taiyan's face changed drastically. Miss. The extreme shock paralyzed his brain, but he was able to understand now. Kukaki Kaneda was actually handled by Kukaki Minjitsu herself. What's going on? Before Kukaki Taiyan could say anything else, Xia Yankaiu had already moved. Boom. Kukaki Taigen didn't even have a chance to resist, he flew out and hit the wall hard. At the same time, the airflow surged, as if some shockwave exploded. The escort he brought instantly fell into pieces, and all flew backwards outwards. Poof, Kukaki Taiyan spurted out a mouthful of blood, his expression finally becoming horrified. Control the airflow. It's such an evolver ability. Ratings such as S-Class and A-Class only represent the blood purity of the evolver. It's not like there haven't been examples of S-Class evolvers who have no evolver abilities at all. The ability of evolvers is the benchmark for distinguishing advanced evolvers. But those evolvers who can control the elements of nature are the strongest ones. What's the matter? Don't we evolvers just talk with our fists? Xia Yankaiu crossed his arms. Let's talk about whatever we want, no nonsense. Kukaki Taiyan opened his mouth, and another mouthful of blood spurted out. The double blow to his body and mind made him dizzy and almost fainted. If he had known that Xia Yankaiu's evolver ability was airflow control, he would not have dared to come here even in the name of the Kukaki family. Not to mention, Kukaki Minjio is still supporting Xia Yu's family. Kukaki Taigen had also dealt with many things for Kukaki Kani, and he never expected that this time he would be the one who kicked the iron plate. Xia Yu suddenly said, Dad, it's good to have you. This sentence made Yun Fengzi immediately alert. What do you want to do again? Fortunately, you neutralized my mother's temper. Xia Yu sighed. What if I can't find a girlfriend in the future? Yun Fengzi, you will die alone. Black Lotus still wants to find a girlfriend? What are you dreaming about in spring and autumn period? That won't happen, Xia Yu said calmly, at least I still have a face. Yun Fengzi held back his anger and began to keep accounting for Xia Yu in his heart. I'm sorry, I was lax in discipline and disturbed a few of them. Kukaki Minjio did not look at Kukaki Taiyan and gave a fist cup salute to Xia Yankaiu. I will take them back to the family to be punished. Xia Yankaiu's expression changed in a second, and she smiled. Miss Minjio, you're welcome. Since I'm here, I don't need to trouble Miss Minjio too much about this matter. We can go directly to the trial court of the Evolutionary Alliance. That's fine. Kukaki Minjio nodded slightly. Thank you, Auntie, for the invitation. Xia Yankaiu calmed down his breath and turned his head. Fengzi, take a good look at this brat. Put aside any grudges you have and let him recover from his injuries first. Yun Fengzi gritted his teeth and smiled, I understand, Yan Yan, go ahead. Xia Yangqiu nodded and followed Kukaki Minjiu out. After she left, Yun Fengzi slapped Xia Yu on the head. Xia Yu had noticed it a long time ago. He moved away with a lazy expression, Dad, don't waste your efforts. You can't beat me. Yun Fengzi became even more angry, get out. He never wanted to be alone with Xia Yu again in his life. Yin family. After receiving the notice from the Evolutionary Alliance, the captain of the guard brought the message to Yin Yongzi and recounted what happened between Xia Yu and Kukaki Kani. Yin Yongzi was surprised, he is actually the young leader of the Supernatural Management Bureau. Of course, the scale and comprehensive strength of the Supernatural Administration cannot be compared with that of the Evolutionary Alliance. After all, the scope of the former's activities is only the Daxia Empire. But the Supernatural Management Bureau is also on par with the big families in the evolution world, but it is weaker than the three major evolution families. But the status and influence of the Supernatural Administration is irreplaceable. Whatever the Evolutionary Alliance wants to do within the Daxia Empire, it must obtain permission from the Supernatural Administration. Yin Yongzi sighed, my vision is narrow-minded. I should check more. Although she said that, she also knew that if Xia Yu hadn't taken the initiative to reveal the truth, she wouldn't have been able to find out. Pity. Yin Yongzi shook his head. But she didn't show up that day. Xia Yu didn't know that she would not save him until she died, but he would still have a chance to make friends with her in the future. Young lady, you don't have to worry about such trivial matters. The guard smiled, Eternal Academy is about to start school, and the connections and resources there are worth fighting for. Yin Yongzi's frown relaxed and she nodded slowly, not bad. Among the younger generation of the Yin family, only 3 people have received admission notices from Eternal College. Yin Yongzi also knew that even if she was an S-level evolver, she might not be able to gain any benefit in the Eternal Academy. If you want to graduate from the inner courtyard of Eternal Academy, you must complete a series of difficult tasks, one of which is to see any one of the 10 vicious NPCs alive and escape unscathed. This alone has left countless students helpless. Yin Yongzi has also been practicing in Eternity for 5 or 6 years, let alone these vicious NPCs on the list. With her fighting prowess, someone like the Sweeping Monk could seriously injure her. It is said that the Eternal Academy can train an ordinary person to the height of a combat-type evolver. So she must go to the Eternal Academy to study. Yin Yongzi said in a calm voice, Miss Si still hasn't come back. No, the guard chief said, I have been filming in Bizhu. I am quite dedicated, but I was injured. Yin Yongzi lowered her eyelashes. At first, when the Great Elder said that Yin Yaonian's family was coming back, she was indeed worried that it would shake her position. But now it turns out that her worries were unfounded. Si fucking only knew how to film, so she had a Class B number plate from the Intercontinental Research Institute, but she didn't know how to use it. As for Nianyan, he was useless except for shooting. He had no intention of getting into Eternal College. Instead, he went to an ordinary university like Xia University. Okay, I understand. Yin Yongzi nodded, go down and evacuate the people, so you don't have to keep an eye on them. Neither of the siblings pose any threat to her, and she doesn't need to be overly concerned. Bizhu. The filming of The Heroic Heroine has been over halfway through. Although there has been no publicity during this period, the show has continued to gain popularity. Several TV stations are already fighting for the exclusive rights to broadcast The Heroic Heroine. After Si fucking finished filming a fight scene, he took off his heavy armor and said hello to Yuzian, who came to visit the class, Brother Ninth. I'm going back to Siju City to see Yu Tang today. Yuzian asked, do you need me to bring anything to my aunt and brother? Si fucking took out some sachets from his bag, this is my newly prepared medicine. Yu Zion took it and gave her a meaningful look. Okay, don't hit yourself too hard while I'm away. I know, I fucking waved his hand. I will take care of myself. Yu Zion left. Yu Jian thoughtfully said, do you feel that something is wrong? I fucking pondered, no. She thought about it for a moment and said decisively, I'm sure he didn't trick me this time. I'm good at it. Yu Jian sighed, Xiaju, you are too good. Sooner or later, one day, you will completely fall into the trap. 49 cities. Today is the weekend. Yu Kishin finished his work and came back from the company. He was ready to take a good rest in the afternoon. As soon as he got out of the car, he heard a voice calling him, brother. Yu Kishin turned his head and was very surprised when he saw the person coming, Xiaoju. Yu-11 nodded. Xiaoju, you are finally back. Yu Kishin held his shoulders, I haven't seen you for a long time. Let's have dinner together tonight. Yu Zion did not refuse, well, go to Xia. Yu Kishin sighed, it's hard for Tang Tang. This summer, Yu Tang chose to stay in school. She would rather spend time in the library than go back to Yu's house. Although Mr. Yu also dotes on her, he will not interfere in Yu Wenhu's love life for her sake. In Mr. Yu's view, it was normal for Yu Wenhu to remarry his wife after his death, but Yu Tang was being unreasonable. Yu Kishin frowned, Dad wants you to get married and have children as soon as possible. You don't need to pay attention to him. If he forces you, you will run away. If you are short of money, just tell Tang Tang and I will give her more money, let her give it to you. Hearing this, Yu Zion closed his eyes slightly, I understand. With 2 pieces of pocket money, I tried different ways to get money from him. Quite good. Come on, I'll go in with you. Yu Kishin took the wheelchair from Feng San, don't respond to anything Dad says in a while. In the hall, Mr. Yu, MRSU and a middle-aged couple were chatting and laughing. Your love is really amazing. Mr. Yu marveled, you are still a T18 investigator at such a young age. You two have taught me well. The middle-aged man smiled, no matter what, it's not worth mentioning. It's just a child's interest and cannot be put on the stage. Mr. Yu waved his hand, you don't have to be modest. This was the marriage he had found for Yu Zion, and he was most satisfied. His surname was Feng, and he came from one of the 3 major aristocratic families, far beyond the reach of wealthy families. He also has a staff in the intelligence giant T18. Paired with Yu Zion, it would be Yu Zion's achievement. Good morning. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 534. Mr. Yu is very optimistic about this marriage. It's rare for a daughter of a big family to not dislike Yu Zion's disabled legs and be willing to marry into the Yu family. It's still a millennium-old family. What a great honor is this. Before, Mr. Yu never dared to think about getting married to a noble family. We mean that T18 is relatively busy. Mrs. Feng smiled slightly, if we get married in the future, she might be running outside all day long. The admiration in Mr. Yu's eyes became even stronger, it's okay. This proves that she is very capable. It's not easy for girls to enter T18. As one of the 2 giants in the international intelligence community, T18's style is more gangster than Zero, but it is undeniable that it is powerful. Yu Zion can't walk and needs a girl like this to protect her. In this way, Mr. Yu can rest assured. Then let the 2 children meet once the intention is over. The middle-aged man said, we still have to let the young people talk by themselves. Mr. Yu nodded, yes, you two have considered it very carefully. After chatting for a while, the middle-aged couple checked into the guest room under the arrangement of the housekeeper. Only then did Yu Kishin push Yu Zion in. I'm back. It's like this. I found a good girl for you. Mr. Yu coughed a few times and looked majestic. She is a young lady from the Feng family. She is 27 years old this year, only 1 year younger than you. It's just that she is still on a mission recently. When she is free, you two can meet. Uzayan's eyes were closed, without any movement, and she simply said, no. Miss Zayi has a staff in T18 and is an investigator. Mr. Yu had expected this answer, but he didn't care. He continued, T18 is a giant in the intelligence community. It is said that the chief is a big shot in Free Continent. If you can establish this relationship, it will also help your future career. Uzayan remained calm. It's not appropriate. What's inappropriate? Mr. Yu finally got angry. Miss Zayi's work, character, figure, and appearance are all good, so what's inappropriate? Feng San heard clearly. Very inappropriate for the job. How can a T18 person be suitable? Isn't this a fight that needs to be done when we meet? Okay, I'm not asking for your opinion, I'm informing you. Mr. Yu said coldly. You are almost 30 years old, and people your age are getting married and having children. If you have some achievements, I'm urging you, but what can you do? He was running around outside all day long, never even returning home, and was not even found at celebrity banquets, making the Yu family a joke. Mr. Yu pushed Feng Zayi's information in front of Uzayan, and his expression dimmed. By the way, if this marriage is negotiated, you will marry Feng's family, and when you have children in the future, they will definitely have the surname Feng. It's better to take a good look. You know your physical condition well. If you miss Miss Zayi, are you still hoping that a girl will like you? These words made Uzayan open his eyes. But in this moment of looking at each other, Mr. Yu felt that he was enveloped in an extremely terrifying aura. His body felt numb, as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. Uzayan closed her eyes again. Feng San. Coming from a royal family, family ties are of no importance to him. The 18th son had already taught him what it means to be cold-blooded and ruthless. The era before the Great Xia dynasty was a time of great strife. Failure to fight would mean death. So after enduring the humiliation for another 2 years, he took the initiative and firmly controlled the throne in his own hands. 1500 years later, because times had changed, he tempered his sharpness and calmed down. The only people in the Yu family that he missed were Yu Tang and Yu Qixin. Others are nothing to him. Feng San responded and immediately pushed the wheelchair out, completely ignoring Mr. Yu. Seeing Uzayan leaving, Yu Qixin frowned and found an excuse to go out. After a long while, Mr. Yu came back to his senses, and he was very angry. It's just nonsense. I have told you a long time ago that you are looking for ways for him, worrying about this and worrying about that. It is just a hot face against a cold butt. MRSU said coldly. Miss Zayi's conditions, even if she is paired with Moose, a member of Duke Dun's royal family, is more than enough, but he actually doesn't like them. If it weren't for the big age difference between Yu Yao and Feng Zayi, it would never have been Uzayan's turn to have this good marriage. MRSU said with a sarcastic look. Moreover, even if this marriage really happens, with his immature temperament, what help can he bring to the Yu family? This sentence spoke to Mr. Yu's heart, and he was silent for a moment. Who made Miss Zayi fall in love with his face? He has to see it even if he doesn't see it. Take good care of him, and don't let him go until Miss Zayi is free. Leave Siju City. Over here, outside the Yu family's old house. The two brothers made a tacit agreement not to mention the blind date. Yu Qixin glanced at the watch on his wrist. Ziyaju, it's getting late. Let's go pick up Tang Tang. Yu-11 nodded. But you are indeed not young anymore, Yu Qixin said with concern. It's time to start a family. You don't have to feel inferior because of your legs. In the eyes of people who really like you, this won't be a problem. Uzayan's eyebrows moved slightly, remembering that Si often used these words to comfort him, and her eyes softened a bit. He smiled lightly. It's too early. Yu Qixin paused suddenly, unable to react. What? A few seconds later, he came back to his senses and became excited. Xiaju, do you already have a goal? Yuzian chuckled and said slowly, my sweetheart. 3 words are simple, but they convey all the affection. Yukishin couldn't help but take a breath. That's a good thing. Which girl? How old is she? Identity is not important. What's important is that you like her. Why didn't you tell me earlier? I told you earlier that I would move the Civil Affairs Bureau to you and cut it off first and report it later. Dad and the others couldn't say anything. Yuzian held his head. I'm 19. Yukishin was shocked and blurted out, you beast. Feng San's mouth twitched, Mr. Qishan. There's no need to say that. No, 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 age is not a problem. Yukishin also felt that he had lost his temper and hurriedly made up for it. What about this little girl? How does she feel about you? The revolution has not yet succeeded. Yuzian lowered his eyelashes. I still need to work hard. Much harder than fighting. On the battlefield, he at least has countless strategies and abilities. But when he met Sci-fi, he seemed to not know how to deal with many things, so he had to learn from scratch. Judging from practice, he has learned well, but there is still room for improvement. Yukishin comforted him, Xiaju, it's okay, don't be discouraged, as long as she doesn't dislike you. I heard that the ghost hand heavenly doctor has appeared. As long as you are lucky, your legs will be able to recover. Yuzian hummed and didn't explain anything. 30 minutes later, the 3 of them arrived at Xia University. Yu Tang was already waiting at the school gate. She waved excitedly, Uncle, Uncle Ninth. Feng San opened the car door and asked Yu Tang to get in. Tang Tang, did you fall in love in college? Yukishin recounted what happened today. Don't go on a blind date like your Uncle Ju to find a partner. Yu Tang was shocked. Uncle Nine is going on a blind date. Yes, Yukishin teased her, you will have Aunt Ninth soon. He's about the same age as you. Yu Tang held it in until she arrived at the restaurant. Taking advantage of Yukishin's order, she found an excuse to sneak into the toilet and dialed Sci-fi's mobile phone number. Tang Tang. Ching Ching, something bad has happened. Yu Tang lowered his voice, my Uncle Ju is going on a blind date. You are about to go on a blind date at this age? Sci-fi said lazily, why are you making such a fuss? Yu Tang hates the fact that iron cannot become steel. Ching Ching, can you accept my 9th uncle's blind date? Sci-fi said, why can't you accept it? I can accept it very much. This way, I don't have to find a girl for him. It saves me a lot of trouble. Yu Tang paused, what if he succeeds in the blind date and reduces your salary? Sci-fi immediately woke up, no. Yes, Yu Tang encouraged her, Ching Ching, you are the only one who can persuade Uncle Ju, so you ask him not to go on a blind date. Sci-fi thought for 3 seconds, give him the phone. Yu Tang ran back and put the phone into Yuzian's hand, Ching Ching has something to tell you. Yukishin pricked up his ears. Yuzian asked in a low voice, what's wrong? Sci-fi said righteously, Brother Ninth, promise me that you can't go on a blind date unless I introduce you to someone. Yuzian glanced at Yu Tang, yes, I promise you. No, verbal promises can't be counted. What should we do, girl? When you come back, we'll hook up. Good. Yukishin looked at Yuzian like a monster. He has never seen Yuzian treat anyone like this, and even gentle is not enough to describe it. No wonder he is a sweetheart. After the call ended, Yuzian raised his head and looked at Yu Tang, say. Yu Tang didn't feel guilty at all and said loudly, I want pocket money. Yuzian clicked on her phone a few times, you can be quiet now. Yu Tang glanced at the extra zeros in the balance and sat down happily. She is indeed a talented wingman. Feng San saw everything. It dawned on him. It turns out that in order to enhance the relationship between Brother Ju and Miss Si, he needs to learn more from Miss Yu Tang. In this way, he can also increase his salary. The cast of The Heroine of the Kingdom. Sci-Fucking was still thinking about Uzion's blind date, and her mood was indescribably complicated. The coordinator came to her at this time and asked her to shoot the next scene. Sci-Fucking picked up the spear and walked out. Teacher SI, you are on the hot search. Seeing her, the screenwriter gathered his mobile phone excitedly. The internet is guessing who the next song girl will be, and your vote is ranked third. Huh, Sci-Fucking raised an eyebrow. Is he going to make an official announcement? Today's breaking news, Chu Lingyun's new movie will be officially announced soon. Who will be the new song girl? Below is the candidate poll. The marketing account listed a list. Except for Sci-Fucking, those at the top are all big names in the film industry. Tong Lu-yun occupied the first place, far ahead. Feng San, how can a T18 person be suitable? Later, King King's identity was exposed. Feng San, T18 is the most suitable. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 535. The filming cycle of a movie is longer and shorter than that of a TV series, and every minute and every second is carefully crafted. Therefore, there is actually a big difference between TV drama actors and movie actors. The performance of some three-time best actress in TV series is mediocre, even to the point of being called bad by the audience. Some TV stars have several blockbuster dramas that top the annual ratings, but after switching careers to making movies, they were unable to support the box office. Of course, there is no shortage of talented actors who excel in both areas. But movie stars have never lowered their status to make TV series. Tong Lu-yun also wanted to win the second round of the 3 Golden Awards, so she took on the historical drama Dazeo Dynasty after many years. Unfortunately, her reputation in the TV drama circle was completely ruined. After Sci-Fucking was nominated for the Jushin Award, there was no way she could be saved. It's just that Tong Lu-yun's fans always insist that it's because Tong Lu-yun hasn't filmed a TV series for a long time and is not as proficient as before. But movies are Tong Lu-yun's field. Can Sci-Fucking be so arrogant? How come a TV drama star emerges from a group of movie actors? No one thinks that just because they can act in TV series, they can act in movies, right? My appetite is really big. If you want to be a song girl, you have to act in a few movies first, right? Forget, this person is a pure TV drama star, please don't touch the porcelain movie queen. Well, let's not talk about the difference between movies and TV series in terms of acting skills. Apart from Sci-Fucking, these guys are still some distance away from being a song girl, right? Don't forget who the first song girl was. As soon as this comment came out, Tong Lu-yun's fans instantly fell silent. Yunlin. Recognized as the first. Whoever touches the porcelain is going to the moon to touch the porcelain. So far, only Sci-Fucking has not been ridiculed by the crowd for her one-to-one reproduction of the lines in Yunlin's movie in variety shows, but has been highly praised. Any other star would have started marketing the name the second Yunlin, but Sci-Fucking did not. This won the favor of many people. After all, when Sci-Fucking joined the team for filming, she could be said to be a god. The screenwriter was very angry. Teacher SI, you haven't acted in a movie yet, why do they say you can't act? Sci-Fucking raised her eyebrows and said lazily, sister, if I care about people's opinions on the internet, why should I be so angry that my life is short? The screenwriter was stuck for a moment and stammered, yes. Teacher SI, have you accepted the movie script? Director Lu asked with concern. If not, I have a few old friends, and I can ask them to create a movie specifically for you, which can definitely hit the 3 gold movies. Back. Yes, I accepted one. Sci-Fucking smiled, I promised him a long time ago. Whose movie? Director Lu became nervous. Teacher SI, There are more tricks in the film industry than you think. Don't be fooled. It was about to be made public, and SI fucking did not hide it. She nodded and said, "It's the one you just discussed." Chu Lingyun. Director Lu and the screenwriter both lost their voices. SI fucking nodded and sighed, "Actually, I really don't want to cooperate with him at all. He is the king of involution, and he wakes people up to film a drama at 2 in the morning." She held the spear and stood on the set stage, leaving the director and the screenwriter looking at each other. The candidate for the song Girl has already been decided. Isn't this voting a joke? There's really nothing to worry about. But the screenwriter still clicked in and voted for SI fucking. She held her phone and prepared to revise the script. After taking 2 steps, the screenwriter, who was engaged in rigorous literary work, suddenly realized something was wrong. Chu Lingyun only made 1 movie after retiring from acting as Yun Lan. SI fucking was not yet 15 years old at that time. How did he know that Chu Lingyun was so good? The screenwriter muttered. Perhaps SI fucking just said it casually, and she was too selective in her words. The other side. Xiaoyu had recovered from his injuries a few days ago. These days, he was just lying down, living a rare life of reaching out for clothes and opening his mouth for food. Xia Yangkaiu has never been so gentle. When Yun Fengzi's endurance was about to reach its peak, Xiaoyu said that he was completely healed and there was no need for Xia Yangkaiu to serve him. But Xia Yangkaiu was still worried and forced him to take medicine. "Your Majesty, sir," the captain of the guard knocked on the door with a respectful voice, "someone comes to visit the young master." "Who?" Xia Yangkaiu put down the bowl and turned his head. The captain of the guard replied, "Back to the main seat, it's the eldest lady of the Yin family. She heard that the young master was injured and came here to have a look." Xia Yangkaiu was a little surprised. "Miss Yin family? Yin Yungzi?" Of course she also knew Yin Yungzi. The only evolver whose ability is healing. Yin Yungzi can change the structure of cells and remove pathogens, thereby achieving the effect of treating patients. Although her close combat ability is not high, she can still kill people. It can even cause a person to develop cancer silently. Very terrifying evolver ability. "Hello, sir," a clear voice sounded outside the door. "I brought some medicine from the Alliance and made a special trip to deliver it." Xia Yangkaiu was about to get up and open the door to greet her when Xiaoyu's ears twitched. He lowered his eyelashes and said in a lazy tone, "Mom, I want to sleep. I'm in good health." "Okay, of course." Xia Yangkaiu mainly thanked you, so he didn't move. "Sorry, Miss Yin, we have already asked a doctor. We don't need medicine." "I appreciate your kindness. It's a little inconvenient now. Could you please go back?" Yin Yungzi paused, her smile not diminishing. "Then I'll come over and take a look when it's convenient for you all." She left with her guards, and after turning around, her smile instantly faded. Yun Fengzi said with a strange look, "Someone came specially to see you, but you are still pretending." Xiaoyu didn't target him this time. He just said calmly, "Before I passed out, I heard the same voice." Yun Fengzi was not used to it for a while. "What?" Xiaoyu told the story in an understated manner, with a nonchalant expression. "That's probably it." Yun Fengzi frowned and his anger surged. He is actually a two-faced person. Xiaoyu hummed and said lazily, "Besides, it's enough for me to have teacher SI." He did not think that Yin Yungzi's medical skills were superior to SI fucking's. Relying on the ability of the evolver is extremely restrictive. Xiaoyu lowered his eyes. When he was browsing Weibo, he also saw the poll about Chu Girl. He did not hesitate and put a check mark on SI fucking. After the vote, Weibo automatically forwarded it, which reminded Xiaoyu's fans, and they also ran to vote. Soon, SI fucking's votes began to surge again, directly beating Tong Luyun by 3 million. At this time, Tong Luyun was filming in green. This is a big-budget movie that brings together international actors and actresses. Tong Lu-yoon snagged a supporting role that only lasted 3 minutes, which already made her very satisfied. It's not her turn yet, but she is willing to stay on the set and communicate with these international actors. A blonde woman walked over. Tong Lu-yoon quickly stood up. "Miss Charlotte." Charlotte Huffman, the most talented actress besides Yoon Lan, has won the Glenn Award for Best Actress 3 times. She is almost 40 years old and still looks great. Charlotte didn't even look at Tong Lu-yoon and walked straight over. Even her assistant and makeup artist looked aloof. Tong Lu-yoon's expression froze. After a few seconds, her fingers slowly tightened and her nails dug into her palms. This is the truth. Even though she can move around in the Daxia Empire, she doesn't even have a place on the international stage. Tong Lu-yoon slowly exhaled, returned to the resting area, and logged into Weibo with her trumpet. The first Weibo post in the trumpet was her vote for herself. But Tong Lu-yoon knew that of course she would not be a Chu girl, because she had not contacted Chu Lingyun until now, and she could only satisfy her vanity in this kind of voting. But when she clicked in again, she didn't expect that Sci-fi's fans would cast so many votes in such a short time. Sci-fi started from Traffic, and this cannot be changed. Fans of Traffic stars are extremely capable. But Sci-fi has more than just this group of fans. Drama fans, technology fans, career fans, esports fans, fans have a wide range of attributes and age groups. Especially when Tong Lu-yoon's fans kept criticizing Sci-fi, MUSI couldn't sit still and started voting. It's so funny, a poll that has nothing to do with the official government is worthy of data collection. I didn't even see it. You have to vote, right? Then let's compare. Come on, the first place in the voting will win the position of song girl. Everyone come and vote. Tong Lu-yoon was furious. She immediately contacted the Navy and started voting for her. She was not satisfied until she tied the number of votes and surpassed Sci-fi by 500,000 votes. The voting channel happened to be closed at this time. At Star Brother V in the circle, the voting results have come out. Tong Lu-yoon came first, with 2.5 million votes lost. It seems that she is the music girl in everyone's mind. Tong Lu-yoon breathed a sigh of relief. If Sci-fi can step on her head in the field of movies, then she has really spent more than 10 years in the entertainment industry in vain. She put her phone aside and closed her eyes to rest. Marketing accounts are good at creating public opinion, and there is overwhelming news on the internet that Tong Lu-yoon is a new song girl. Chu Lingyun just came out of the office and was intercepted by the assistant director. "Director, is the music girl you chose this time Miss Tong Lu-yoon?" the assistant director asked. "She has a bad temper, so she can't cooperate well with us, right?" Chu Lingyun frowned. "What? Who is Tong Lu-yoon?" "Ah," the assistant director was stunned. "I saw that domestic marketing accounts were all spreading rumors that she was a music girl. I thought you had already revealed it to the outside world." Chu Lingyun frowned even more. "Let me take a look." The assistant director handed over the phone. After Chu Lingyun finished reading, he slowly let out a breath. He clicked to log out, then logged into the account he had not logged into for 100 years, and forwarded this Weibo. At Chu Lingyun V, what a wild list, / at Star Brother V in the circle, the voting results have come out. Tong Lu-yoon came first and lost 1 million votes. It seems that she is the music girl in everyone's mind. Good morning. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 536. Chu Lingyun is a talented director. From the very beginning, he didn't play with the domestic directors at all, and went directly to the international circle. Moreover, when the comprehensive strength of the Daxia Empire's film and television industry could not compare with foreign countries, Chu Lingyun used her absolute strength to compete with the directors of the Western continent. Learning from Gu Wenzhou, Chu Lingyun, like the old man, has a very strict eye on beauty. He never pays attention to who has more fans and who has better statistics. He discovers actors by himself. As long as he likes it, even if it is an 18th-tier actor, he can promote it as a first-tier actor. This is Chu Lingyun's strength. Therefore, even top-tier actors who have not won Best Actor or Best Actress in the world still want to work with Chu Lingyun. There is no doubt that Chu Lingyun's film is prepared for the Grain Award. Who voted for this? Chu Lingyun frowned. Are you blind? Only then did the assistant director realize that there was a misunderstanding and hurriedly said, it's probably because your movie is about to start shooting, and some people can't sit still and always want to take advantage of the popularity. In the past, Chu Lingyun completely ignored these public opinions and focused on polishing the script. Even the assistant director did not expect that he would be so irritable and speak out directly this time. Chu Lingyun was indeed very angry. The heroine he carefully selected was dumped by 1 million votes. Doesn't this mean that the public is doubting his vision? The first time he saw Sci-fi, he thought that she could become the second Daxia person to become a god in grain after Yunlan. Yunlan and Chu Lingyun have indeed made each other successful. Only Yunlan under the lens of Chu Lingyun can perfectly display her peak acting skills instead of letting the audience only see her face. Is my popularity so easy to rub off on? Chu Lingyun was still angry. If you make such false remarks again, I will clean them up. The assistant director responded repeatedly, looked at the wild list on Weibo and shook his head. He and Tong Luyun had never worked together before, and he only knew that she often played a big role in the crew. Publicly and privately, he did not want Chu Lingyun to choose Tong Luyun as the heroine. Only this time, Tong Luyun stole the chicken but lost the rice, and it was her own fault. Grain sighed. Tong Luyun was chatting with her agent, and she inevitably mentioned Sci-fi. We have already submitted our ideas, but the big directors still want to work with Sci-fi. There is no way to change this, the agent nodded. It's just that Sci-fi's team didn't accept any scripts. It seems like I have no intention of making a movie at the moment. Sci-fi's acting skills are there, and she has an extremely strong fan base. She doesn't need to verify her box office appeal to know that she can definitely carry it. Tong Luyun was also holding in her breath. Sci-fi has obviously reached the pinnacle in the field of esports, so he doesn't have to work so hard on filming. As long as you occasionally live stream and play games, you can keep the popularity going. Why do you have to compete with them for the few cakes in the entertainment industry? Still a perfect score in the college entrance examination, first in the international joint examination, which one is not better than the entertainment industry? Tong Luyun couldn't understand what Sci-fi was thinking at all. She will definitely enter the film industry sooner or later, the agent sighed. Be patient, you are a senior, so be generous. Tong Luyun said coldly, I can't be generous to her. Before the manager could speak again, the assistant ran in panting and panicked, Sister Tong. Something happened. The music director has spoken. Tong Luyun was stunned. What? Chu Lingyun, the assistant wiped his sweat and stammered, he forwarded the voting results and said it was a wild list. Netizens have already put you on the hot search list, Sister Tong. Tong Luyun's expression changed. She immediately took the phone from her assistant and opened Weibo. A red-hot word has appeared in the hot search column. Hashtag Chu Lingyun, Tong Luyun hashtag. After clicking on the entry, the first one was Chu Lingyun's 4 words of no mercy. What a wild list. Chu Lingyun rarely posted a Weibo post, and the number of comments has exceeded 50,000. It made me laugh so hard the music director personally came out to crack down on fraud. I didn't understand the meaning of this kind of voting. Could it be that if you voted first, you would be able to perform? Did Tong Lu-yun buy the ticket? I watched helplessly as she gained 20 million votes within an hour. Do you have so many active fans? Let's not comment on the business capabilities of Sci-fi and Tong Lu-yun from a fan perspective. Tong Lu-yun, how dare you buy a higher ticket than Sci-fi? Tong Lu-yun will not forget that Sci-fi is still a 9 god and the first in the international joint examination. How dare you compete with her in terms of fans? After all, Sci-fi is an extremely unique person, and his fans can be said to be spread across all fields. Among them, the veterans and esports fans who have witnessed her becoming a god all the way from youth have the strongest fighting ability. Not to mention, after she got the first place in the international joint examination, her fans have been growing rapidly. I don't want to be a fan of her, but this female star got perfect marks in the college entrance examination. Yes, I don't like watching dramas. I am a fan of her purely because of her high IQ. Goddess, don't hide in silence, live broadcast how you study, teach me how to study. Tong Lu-yun, please act your movie well, don't be bullied by marketing. Your popularity with the public has been ruined, it's so embarrassing, and the music director has to come out to refute the rumors in person. Isn't it embarrassing? The agent didn't expect Tong Lu-yun to be so aggressive, and his eyes darkened. Did you buy a ticket? Tong Lu-yun looked embarrassed. It's just a vote, why can't I buy it? It's Chu Lingyun who is making a fuss out of a molehill. The agent complained endlessly, but now he is making a fuss out of a molehill. What can you do? Tong Lu-yun was a little confused, sweat was already breaking out on her forehead. Yeah, what can she do? In terms of influence, how can she compare with Chu Lingyun? Hurry up and apologize. The manager pressed his temples and urged, don't be stunned. Tong Lu-yun finally came to her senses and hurriedly ran to Chu Lingyun's Weibo to apologize. It means that this is all false news fabricated by the marketing account and has nothing to do with her personally. She respects Chu Lingyun very much. But Chu Lingyun didn't reply to her at all. Tong Lu-yun bit her lip, feeling confused and not knowing what to do. At this time, Sci-fi was on the phone with Chu Lingyun. When will your drama be finished filming? Chu Lingyun asked. We expect to start shooting on September 15th. If you feel that the time is not suitable, you can push it back. Sci-fi hummed, almost, the filming will be completed by the end of August. That's okay. Chu Lingyun was very happy. I'm preparing for the press conference. As the heroine, you can't be absent. My teacher will also come to help us promote it. When he comes back to work, he must not take things lightly. Sci-fi responded one by one, no problem, I have already asked for leave. After the call ended, she went to the dressing room to remove her makeup. Sang Yanking stood behind her and said quietly, a fan asked you to do your homework. Live. Sci-fi, can you let them be human beings? Who likes to do homework? Then tell me about your learning methods and ideas. Sang Yanking held up the small notebook. I'll sort it out and let the studio send it out. It's a fan benefit. How to study? Sci-fi said lazily. Oh, no, because I have a high IQ. Sang Yanking choked. You are really not humble at all. It's a fact. Sci-fi said. I have been studying for a long time. There is nothing that cannot be learned with time. Sang Yanking echoed, yes, yes, I learned it in the game. 1 hour in the game can be used as 100 hours. Screenwriter. Is this a daily conversation between you two? Don't you think there's anything unreasonable? Or is she taking it too seriously? Sci-fi finished taking off his makeup and rested on a soft chair, holding up his mobile phone with his other hand. Yu Zion sent her some photos, and Yu Tang kindly acted as the photographer. Sci-fi clicked save one by one, and then sent a voice message asking him, Brother Ninth, you didn't go on a blind date, did you? Did the Yu family force you to marry? Just tell me and I will support you. No, Yu Zion said lightly, they don't have that ability. You can't go on a blind date anyway, as I fucking emphasized. If you promise me, you can't break your promise. Sang Yanking heard this, and she was very concerned. Ching ching, if you have any situation, tell me as soon as possible. If this happens, we can PR in advance. Yes, I fucking was replying to Uzian's message. He responded absently, but still caught the key sentence. No way, I can't be exposed, and I don't need public relations. It's all money. Sang Yanking. In the eyes of money, there is no hope. The matter between Xiaoyu and Kukakikani was brought to the tribunal of the Evolutionary Alliance. Almost all the senior officials knew about Xiaoyu's identity, so they sent someone to see him off before he returned to Grain to continue filming. Because he still had work to do, Xia Yangkai went back a day early, leaving only Yun Fengzi to accompany him. In addition to the escort team of the Evolutionary Alliance, Yin Yongzi was also among those who came. She took the initiative to step forward and smiled slightly. I went to see Mr. Xia yesterday. It was not convenient for Mr. Xia, so today I specially pushed forward family matters and came to deliver Mr. Xia. These are medicines. Mr. Xia, please take them with you. If you feel unwell in the future, you can call me on my phone. She motioned to the head guard to hand over the medicine and business card. Xiaoyu didn't answer. Yin Yongzi frowned. Thank you, Mr. Xia. She felt very keenly that Xiaoyu was very indifferent to her. But every evolver knows her importance. Knowing her is equivalent to saving several lives. Does Xiaoyu not care about his own life at all? A young man from the Evolutionary Alliance also spoke. Mr. Xia, Miss Yun 11's medicine is really helpful to evolutionaries. Please accept it. Xiaoyu's eyebrows were light and his tone was not warm. No need. Yin Yongzi's smile faded and she asked softly, does Mr. Xia have any problem with me? As soon as these words came out, the expressions of the evolvers changed, and the eyes they looked at Xiaoyu gradually became unkind. In their eyes, Yin Yongzi was a goddess-level figure. She took the initiative to show her kindness, but Xiaoyu didn't appreciate it. Xiaoyu finally raised his eyes and half smiled. Miss Yin, since you have done some things, you should have thought that I would know about them. He didn't care at all whether Yin Yongzi stopped to save him that night, and he didn't even think there was anything wrong with her approach. If it were him, he wouldn't save a stranger for no reason. But Yin Yongzi's two-faced style made Xiaoyu not have the slightest fondness for her. Yin Yongzi frowned even more tightly. What? Xiaoyu took his time and said, in Miss Yin's opinion, you don't need to save anyone who can't help you, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have left directly that night. What to pretend? Xiaoyu, are you competing with me on your acting skills? Yunfenzi. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 537. Xiaoyu originally didn't want to have too much communication with Yin Yongzi. But in the circle of evolvers, Yin Yongzi is very famous. He will definitely have contact with her in the future, so let's talk directly. Yin Yongzi's smile completely froze. Mr. Xia, what are you talking about? Yun Fengzi took a step forward and said calmly, Miss Yin, you don't have to act like a victim, as if Rau bullied you. Since you ask why, I will tell you why. I don't mind if you don't save me, but it doesn't mean that you can pretend that nothing happened afterwards. In a word, don't try to get close to someone, because you're not familiar with it. We are all adults, who can't see that little bit of pettiness. Although Yun Fengzi made a lot of notes for Xiaoyu in his heart, this boy had to close the door and deal with it. He would not allow anyone to bully his son outside. Looking at Yin Yongzi's slightly pale face, Yun Fengzi sneered, why, you put on such a hurt posture, maybe you want Au to get a bad name, there is no way. I will not fall for this trick of yours. There was silence. The evolvers were a little shocked. Yin Yongzi was shocked inside. her mind went blank, and for the first time she didn't know how to react. She had no idea that the conversation between her and the guard would be listened to word for word by Xiaoyu. Although she didn't get close at the time, she could tell that Xiaoyu was seriously injured and dying, and could barely breathe. With such a serious injury, he actually heard her speak. As expected, the body is very strong. But it is absolutely impossible for Xiaoyu to see her and have a chance to save her. Yin Yongzi showed a puzzled expression at the right time, but her palms became sweaty. Mr. Xie, is there some misunderstanding? We have never met. You know very well whether there is any misunderstanding. Xiaoyu looked lazy. Anyway, you want to have a relationship with me, just dream. He put his hands in his pockets. Dad, I still have a scene to shoot, let's go. Yun Fengzi didn't even look at Yin Yongzi again and left. The fig leaf was openly torn away, and Yin Yongzi's fingers trembled violently. Under the suspicious gazes of many evolutionists, she simply did not have the courage to stay any longer. Yin Yongzi bit her lip, her eye circles instantly turned red, and she left in a hurry, her back looking very embarrassed. After she left, the place remained silent. After a long silence, the young man moved his lips. What did they mean just now? Another young man was also in a daze. You mean, Miss Yun 11 met Mr. Xie on the day he was injured, but she just left. Will Yin Yongzi see death or not? How can this be? It is precisely because of Yin Yongzi's kind-heartedness that the evolutionaries respect her very much. Even the families who have issues with the Yin family also respect Yin Yongzi very much. Except for the Revenge Organization, which has always wanted to get rid of Yin Yongzi, everyone else will choose to protect her. They have all been saved more or less by Yin Yongzi. It is hard to imagine that Yin Yongzi will ignore life one day. It is true that death is very common among evolvers, but when it comes to Yin Yongzi, it makes them unable to accept it for a while, and there is a feeling that their faith is suddenly broken. Let's go back, the young man sighed. In the future. He paused and did not finish his sentence. But everyone else knew what he meant. They should have less contact with Yin Yongzi in the future, otherwise once their interests are touched, who knows whether they will become the next abandoned. They don't have as big a background as Xiaoyu. In this case, it would be better to stay away from Yin Yongzi. The young people made this decision unanimously, and then they returned to the Evolutionary Alliance. Here, Yin Yongzi returned to the Yin family, feeling very upset. She slapped the cup on the table. The captain of the guard spoke cautiously, Miss, it's just his one-sided words. Not many people will believe him, and he can't affect your image. You don't need to be so angry at all. I know. Yin Yongzi breathed out slowly. She closed her eyes and said calmly, I just didn't expect that his emotional intelligence would be so low that he would choose to break up with me openly. The head guard smiled, it's because he doesn't understand the ways of the world. If the Supernatural Management Bureau is inherited by such a person in the future, it will have no choice but to be left alone and helpless. With Yin Yongzi's influence among the evolvers, as long as she waved her hand, countless evolvers would stand beside her. As for Xiaoyu, he was just beginning to show his talents. How can you compare with Yin Yongzi? Doing so is just digging your own grave. If the Supernatural Bureau wants to find a doctor by then, it will be even more difficult. Yin Yongzi was so comforted that she had no intention of thinking about Xiaoyu anymore. She raised her head and asked, Where is Grandpa? The head guard hurriedly said, The elder is training the juniors in the school grounds. Does the eldest lady want to go over? Yin Yongzi nodded and said, Let's go and help you. She also wanted to let the Yin Yaonian family know that the Yin family now is not what it was 20 years ago. Regardless of her popularity or strength, her position is unbreakable and unshakable. At the same time, Yin Yaonian's residence. Yaonian, it's been some time since you came back, Yin Pingsheng said calmly. The family plans to hold a reception banquet for you. You can see what time is more suitable. After setting the time, you can invite people from other families. People. There's no need. Yin Yeonian refused without thinking. Ching Ching and Yin are both busy and don't have time to come back. Yin Pingsheng frowned and said in a cold tone, Yao Nian, if you have resentment in your heart, you won't let the two children suffer with you. Although their talents are not good, they may not be unable to become talents. You must let them make more friends and make friends with noble people. In addition, the family has applied for 2 eternal accounts, 3-star, so that the 2 children can travel around the eternal continent. A 3-star account is a very common one and cannot be entered into many places such as Ghost Valley. The Yin family has many such accounts, and only servant guards will use 3-star accounts. How could Yin Yeonian not know what kind of attention Yin Pingsheng paid? He was very indifferent. No, we have it. The topic could not be continued at all. Yin Pingsheng didn't want to say anything more and walked away. Okay, then you can take care of yourself. At the same time, he just felt very ridiculous in his heart. Have an eternal account? Don't be afraid of flashing your tongue when speaking big words. Yin Yeonian has not had the opportunity to contact Free Continent in these years. Where did he get the account? Since Yin Yeonian didn't want it, he didn't bother to give any more. When the time comes that Sci-fi and Nianyan cannot survive in the world of evolvers, it will have nothing to do with him. A few days later, Bizhu. The press conference for Chu Lingyun's new movie was about to begin. Director Lu not only approved Sci-fi's fake release, but also mercifully asked the entire crew to follow her to Greenland to join in the fun. Directors can also be divided into movie directors and TV series directors. Director Lu has made a lot of achievements in the filming of TV series, but he is still very unfamiliar with movies. This trip to Glen was a good learning opportunity for him. Chu Lingyun came out again after many years, attracting countless actors to stop what they were doing just to attend this press conference, including several Grammy Award-winning actors and actresses. After all, Chu Lingyun won Yunlin the Grain Lifetime Achievement Award. And the Glein Lifetime Achievement Award is their ultimate goal. Tong Lu-yun is still playing a small role among several crews of Green, so she naturally has a lot of time. She originally wanted to gain popularity by relying on her reputation as a music girl, but she became the target of ridicule. She wanted to see who the new song girl was. If it's just a newcomer, don't blame her for continuing to bully her. There are many big names here today beside her. The manager glanced at him and sighed. As expected of Chu Lingyun, his influence is one of the best in the world. Even Charlotte Huffman, who was dismissive of Tong Lu-yun, came to the scene in person. Last time Chu Lingyun had announced that the protagonist of the new movie would be from Daxia, and everyone was racking their brains to know the specific candidate. It's just that Chu Lingyun did a good job of keeping it secret, and the media didn't dig out any useful information. Not only will the heroine be announced today, but the supporting roles will also be auditioned. Tong Lu-yun pursed her lower lip. Is it possible for me to get a supporting role in the song director's movie? It's difficult. The agent hesitated. He responded personally. He probably already remembers you. He always hates marketing. Tong Lu-yun felt a little regretful at this moment. If she had known that Chu Lingyun would come out to respond, she would not have started marketing under any circumstances. Now we can only take one step at a time. The manager suddenly said in surprise, Lu-yun, look. Tong Lu-yun raised her head and looked over, her face suddenly darkened. Sci-fi? Isn't Sci-fi filming the female generals of Genkuo in Bizhu? What are you doing here? Tong Lu-yun couldn't restrain her anger when she thought that she had been ridiculed on the internet until now. It was especially embarrassing that she had apologized to Chu Lingyun but had not received any response until now. Tong Lu-yun recorded all these things on Sci-fi's head. There are very few Daxia people around, and there are no reporters or cameras now. Tong Lu-yun doesn't have to worry about being photographed and ruining her image. Privately, Tong Lu-yun does have a bad temper and likes to act big. Tong Lu-yun straightened her clothes. She took a few steps forward, blocked Si-fucking's path, and said sarcastically, "What are you doing here? You don't think you can still act in a music director's movie, do you? What's the matter, you're dragging your family with you, have you never been to Grain?" These words scolded the female general crew. But the crew's reaction was not what Tong Lu-yun expected. There was surprise, there was shock, but there was no anger. The crew just looked at her with a very strange look, as if they were looking at a fool. Tong Lu-yun was seen very irritable. She said coldly, "What are you looking at? Did I say something wrong? You are a bitch." It was Director Lu who said kindly, "Teacher Tong, it's like this, because it's our first time here, so we are still in the live broadcast." After a pause, he said politely, "So you just broke into the camera." "Director Lu, what can I do? I didn't know anyone could be so stupid." After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 538. It was indeed the first time for the guide to come to the Grain Center. The central area is the Palace of International Art, Film, and Television. Tourists cannot enter without a pass. This time the entire crew came with Si-fucking, so naturally they were curious about everything here. The road guide admitted that he was a bitch, so from the moment he arrived at the entrance, he raised his mobile phone and started live broadcasting. While broadcasting live, he was still interacting with fans. Who knew that Tong Lu-yun would suddenly come over and say such words and block his camera? What can he do? He didn't mean it. Tong Lu-yun's ears buzzed, as if a sledgehammer had hit her Tianling cap directly, and her mind went blank for an instant. She couldn't even understand what Director Lu meant by these two sentences at the first time. Fans in Lu Dao's live broadcast room were also shocked. For them, Tong Lu-yun has always been an unreachable star on the big screen. They never thought that Tong Lu-yun would be like this in private. Damn it, Tong Lu-yun is too careless about her image, right, blatantly calling people a bitch. What happened to the native dog? Me too, I just like to see flashy things. I used to hear rumors that Tong Lu-yun is someone who scolds fans in private. I didn't believe it at first, but now I do. 10 years ago, Tong Lu-yun was the queen of ratings. I also liked her TV series. Now I have completely shattered my filter for her as an old senior. I can understand if you don't support newcomers. After all, they are all competitors they blindly suppress and maliciously exclude. Is it a bit over? I laughed. I guess Tong Lu-yun thought no one could take a picture of her here, so she was so unscrupulous, right? Tong Lu-yun was stunned for more than 10 seconds, and finally reacted. Her body shook and she screamed, "No shooting! No shooting!" She rushed forward like crazy, trying to grab Director Lu's cell phone. But she didn't get close to the guide, and her wrist was intercepted. Si-fucking easily blocked Tong Lu-yun's path, and narrowed his fox eyes lightly. "What are you doing in front of me? Huh?" She let go of Tong Lu-yun's hand, and Tong Lu-yun couldn't help but take a few steps back. Si-fucking pinched her wrist and said, "Director Lu, let's go." The road guide hurriedly followed. Tong Lu-yun could only watch the crew of the female general leave, and then she fell into a severe panic. It's over, she was photographed. What should she do now? Tong Lu-yun, the manager's voice sounded at this time, extremely angry. "I just stopped looking at you for a while, and you are on the trending search again. Look what you did. People on the internet are scolding you. You bitch." News in the entertainment industry spreads extremely fast, let alone live broadcast. Tong Lu-yun's behavior was despised by fans, and within a few minutes, she reached the first place on the entertainment list. Other netizens were also shocked by Tong Lu-yun's operation. Tong Lu-yun's popularity with the music girl has not yet subsided, but new news broke out. Her Weibo was completely hacked, and her number of followers dropped like crazy. "What on earth are you doing?" The manager couldn't understand Tong Lu-yun's various behaviors. Have you been demoted? Huh? Tong Lu-yun held her head, and layers of cold sweat broke out on her back. I don't know either. If there are no cameras, then it is still a public place. The manager was furious. Have you been in the entertainment industry in vain all these years? You are so confused. Tong Lu-yun didn't dare to say a word, and her body kept shaking. The agent didn't have time to reprimand her anymore. He hurriedly contacted the public relations team and began to use every opportunity to make amends. But the agent also knows that no matter how to remedy it, Tong Lu-yun's popularity with the audience can be said to have collapsed by half and cannot be saved. This way. After Sci-fi arrived at the hotel, she put on a mask and hat, slowly arrived at LAN headquarters, and went to the office to find Gu Wenzu. Before coming, she also contacted Xiaoyu specifically. 10 minutes later, Xiaoyu also arrived. After seeing her, he waved lazily towards her. Teacher Si. Here we come. Si threw a piece of men's clothing over, just in time. Come here and try on some clothes. Xiaoyu took it and raised his eyebrows. Teacher Si, has he returned to his old career? I've been working all the time and never had a break. Si said, I don't have any money to hire a model anymore. Come on. Xiaoyu curled his lips. Okay, no problem. Gu Wenzu walked in and stopped in time when he saw Xiaoyu. Ching ching, here we come. Xiaoyu calmed down and stood up straight. He has been hanging out in Grain for more than a year, so of course he knows Gu Wenzu, the godfather of fashion. Xiaoyu's eyes looked between Si and Gu Wenzu. In these few seconds, he had understood everything. Si patted Xiaoyu on the shoulder. Teacher, let's see how it goes. The students I brought out. The people you brought out are naturally outstanding. Gu Wenzu pushed up his glasses. I heard that you have been designing Chinese-style summer clothes recently. Do you want to promote them to the whole world? Si nodded. Well, promote Daxia culture. No problem, I'll help you. Gu Wenzu looked at Xiaoyu with a kind look. Come on, young man, take a few photos and relax. Soon, Ian's Weibo and official website released the set of photos. There was no news about this new set of photos, which caught Xiaoyu's fans off guard. Brother Xia really doesn't have much to say about this resource, he always keeps it quiet. In the past few years, there have been two top figures, Xiaoyu and Si. Xiaoyu was brought up by Si, and it is normal for Si Li to be angry. Evaluations of Xiaoyu on the internet are also more positive than negative. Gu Wenzu said with a smile, the response from the public has been good. From now on, you will be Ian's royal model. Tell Ching Ching what elements you like and let her design it. Xiaoyu nodded, and soon he realized something. He put his hand on his head and sighed, it's too bad. Gu Wenzu was puzzled, what's wrong? The cell phone rang on time. Xiaoyu glanced at the caller ID and answered the call resignedly, hello. On the phone, Xia Yangkaiu said pitifully, what's wrong with your clothes? Xiaoyu paused, Xia, didn't you see it? Nonsense, I just asked you after seeing it. Xia Yangkaiu was furious, is this Ian's new product? I've never seen it before, why are you wearing it? Take it off immediately. Xiaoyu. 3 seconds later, he slowly said, Mom, these are men's clothes? What's wrong with men's clothes? I can wear men's clothes too. Xia Yangkaiu sneered, tell me honestly what your relationship is with Lan. I will be lenient if you confess, but strict if you resist. Xiaoyu sighed, in order to prevent himself from being beaten by Xia Yangkaiu, that's it, in fact, Teacher Si is your idol all along. There was sudden silence on the other end of the phone. Xiaoyu raised his eyebrows. I can't bear it. After a few seconds, he heard Xia Yangkaiu's slightly dazed voice, God, the right hand of God. Yes, Xiaoyu said calmly, Ian's chief designer. Snapped. The call was hung up. Xiaoyu turned his head thoughtfully. Teacher Si, if my mother comes to grain and beats me, will you protect me? Si fucking. Ah, what a model of loving mother and filial piety. Green time, at 7:30 p.m., the film conference officially begins. It was morning in the Daxia Empire at this time, and Uzion was wearing home clothes and sitting in front of the projection screen. What are you looking at? Yukishin walked in, his eyes fell on the screen, and he asked in surprise, that girl? Uzion said, yes, my sweetheart. Yukishin shook violently. Of course he had heard of Si fucking's name. After all, ever since the Nine Gods' identity was exposed to the world, the Yu family had been trying to win over her. I just kept hitting a wall and didn't even see anyone. Later, Si fucking won the first place in the International Joint Examination and became a B-level staff member of the Intercontinental Research Institute, but the Yu family could not climb up. Yukishin couldn't help but take a breath. Xiaju, you are really quick to strike. On the side, Yu Tang said proudly, Ching Ching is Uncle Ju's personal bodyguard, and the relationship is very close. Yukishin handed the breakfast to Uzion, and also sat down on the sofa, watching the live broadcast of the movie conference attentively. I'm very happy to share my new movie with you here on the screen. Chu Lingyun patted the microphone. I have been preparing for this movie for 4 years, during which time I traveled all over the world and experienced countless scenery. It's my hometown, and all the characters in this movie are from Daxia. Brothers and sisters, there are really not many Daxia people here today. I think Ching Ching is probably the heroine mentioned by the director. Damn it, that wife is really outstanding in her career. It really can't be Si fucking. I know her acting skills are really good, but there is a gap between movies and TV series. Moreover, Chu Lingyun represents the pinnacle of film production, and Si fucking is still a long way off. If it were Si fucking, I would eat shit live. I have been interested in her since last year, and it turns out that my vision is right. Chu Lingyun said again, this year, she became a god with just one TV series. Not only does she have great looks, but her acting skills are also excellent. At the top, she is the second most talented actress I have ever seen. She is only 19 years old this year, but I believe she can create a milestone in film and television art. The noise in the audience became louder and louder, and the audience became more and more excited. It was certainly not bad for Chu Lingyun to praise him so much. They were all waiting for Chu Lingyun to announce the name of the heroine, but the Daxia live broadcast room fell strangely silent, including the Daxia celebrities present. Foreigners may not know much about Si fucking's achievements in acting, but people in Daxia know that every word of Chu Lingyun describes a person. Si fucking. And the last sentence means that Chu Lingyun believes that Si fucking can win the Grain Lifetime Achievement Award. The live broadcast room was silent for a full 30 seconds before the first sentence finally appeared. Front, where are you? I'll pull a cart over for you. You can eat. See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 539. Yes, where is it? I have a professional camera at home, and I will carry it there and record it for you, free of charge. Please enter a code during the live broadcast, otherwise it will be too disgusting. Congratulations Ching Ching, killer. This is something that a career fan like me would never dare to dream of, but a certain female star has done it. Awesome. On the public screen, the fans were completely crazy. Netizens were also shocked. But the one who was most shocked was Tong Luyun. She could hardly believe her ears. If she hadn't been at the movie conference, she would have wanted to rush up and ask Chu Lingyun what he was doing. How could it be Si fucking? Si fucking has never made a single movie. Tong Luyun's body swayed, She felt dizzy and a little unsteady on her feet. She suddenly remembered that she had been trying to capitalize on the popularity of the word Chew girl these past few days, and even specially invited Sci-Fucking, a real song girl, to come out for comparison. All these actions were a joke. Until now, Tong Lu-yun could not convince herself that the artists under Sang Yanking were better than her. While she still needed to gain experience and connections by playing small roles, Sci-Fucking had already left behind all domestic actors and rushed onto the international stage. Why? Under the gaze of everyone, Sci-Fucking slowly walked up the steps. She is wearing Ian's new dress. But no one noticed the clothes at all eyes were focused on her. Especially that face that is a masterpiece of nature. Unifying Chinese and Western aesthetics is not an exaggeration. Sci-Fucking shook hands with the creative team on stage one by one, took the microphone from Chu Lingyun, and said calmly, "Thank you, Director Chu, for recognizing me. I hope I can bring you an excellent visual feast. My second TV series The Heroine of the Kingdom will be released on all major platforms at the end of the year. I sincerely invite you to watch it." "Thank you." There was thunderous applause from the audience. Sang Yanking. "As expected of you, you never forget to save publicity expenses." Sci-Fucking's face is indeed still a very unfamiliar face in the international entertainment industry. There were whispers in the audience, all discussing her, some praising her, some belittling her. Even though Chu Lingyun repeatedly affirmed Sci-Fucking's talent, there were still many people who didn't think so. There's no way you can compare with Yunlan, right? Yunlan is a god, of course he cannot be compared to mortals. I guess the music director only chose her because he had to choose someone from Daxia, and he didn't think she was any better than our country's best actresses. Charlotte held up her hat. "Who is she? Is she very powerful in the Great Xia Empire?" On the side, Tong Lu-yun heard this and smiled calmly. "She has only started filming for a year. How can she compare with teacher Charlotte? Let alone international awards, she doesn't even have the threshold for our Daxia Film Awards, didn't even touch it." "That's it." Charlotte lost interest and suddenly asked, "What level are you in Daxia?" Tong Lu-yun was very modest. "I have won several gold medals." "You can win a gold medal." Charlotte shook her head regretfully. "Then it seems that no one in your Daxia Empire can support the film career." Tong Lu-yun didn't expect Charlotte to say such words openly. Her smile froze at the corner of her mouth and her face suddenly turned red. She murmured, but no sound came out. The agent sighed, looking very decadent. "Lo-yun, don't say anything." This time, everyone knew that Tong Lu-yun didn't even have a chance to argue with Sci-Fu. There is a kind of person who shines naturally when she stands on the stage and attracts everyone's attention. In front of the projection screen, Yu Zian looked at the girl quietly, his eyes motionless, his eyes completely occupied by her figure. On the side, Yu Kishan exclaimed in amazement, "Xiaju, Miss Si is amazing. Her first film was directed by Chu Lingyun. Her starting point is unparalleled." "That's right." Yu Tang clenched his fists. Uncle Ju's Ching Ching is amazing." Yu Zian's eyebrows moved and he took another look at her. "Ahem." Yu Tang cleared his throat and asked in a carefully lowered voice, "Uncle Ju, I didn't do it on purpose. Ching Ching is really stupid. You have to say it bluntly, otherwise she won't know anything." Afraid of her running away, Yu Zian rested his head on his hands and sighed softly. "She is very uneasy." He didn't know what had happened to her, but he could see the scars on her body, hidden under the smile, very deep. She has always disguised herself very well, hiding her scars and only wanting to show her best side. But he saw that he could only repair these scars in his daily life. Wait until she can take off her disguise and accept him completely. Yu Tang blinked his eyes and hummed twice, "I don't care, you are just seducing Ching Ching anyway, you are shameless." Yu Zian raised his head when he heard this, his eyes were deep, and he smiled. "What did you say?" I said, Uncle Ju, you are an unparalleled hero because of your wisdom and strength. Yu Tang said loudly, you will definitely be able to successfully bring Ching Ching home on the colorful auspicious clouds. Yu Kishan. For the first time, he discovered that his niece turned out to be a two-faced person. Yu Tang covered her mouth and cried silently. She paid too much for her pocket money. Yu Kishan came back to his senses and hesitated for a moment. Xiaju, but you are still too beastly. Miss 11 Jinping is only a freshman, you. Yes, Yu Tang was very excited. Xia University will start military training on the 25th of this month. Will Ching Ching come? She has just finished filming all the scenes of the female general of the country. Let me ask you. Zion nodded and clicked a few times on his phone. You Zion, do you want to undergo military training or become an instructor? Fucking, become an instructor. You Zion, well, okay. Yu Tang felt aggrieved. Uncle Ju, why don't I have the option of becoming an instructor? Yu Zion closed her eyes and said in a calm voice, do you want to be an instructor? Yu Tang. Obviously there was no ups and downs or emotion in these 5 words, but she heard a strong sense of ridicule. After the official announcement of Chu Lingyun's new heroine, the internet and Weibo were abuzz. #SIfucking, the new song girl #. #movie press conference #. #SIfucking, Yunlin #. Each entry is followed by the word explosion. Today is a carnival for career fans, brothers and sisters, get excited. In Super Talk, there was another lottery frenzy. Rich woman Ru Lin Jiwan has already started giving away houses. Even netizens who have no interest in movies and TV series are praising Fucking for bringing glory to Daxia. Only Tong Luyun felt extremely aggrieved. She finally made it to the end of the film conference and left the scene immediately with her agent. But before he returned to the set, he was surrounded by a group of entertainment reporters. These entertainment reporters couldn't find Fucking's person, so they had no choice but to block Tong Luyun. Ms. Tong Luyun, what gives you the confidence to scold other Daxia people as idiots? Ms. Tong Luyun, you don't think that you can already have a foothold in the international entertainment industry by playing a small role in several Glenn Crews, do you? Ms. Tong Luyun, Miss Fucking's acting career has only been launched for 1 year, and she has already achieved achievements that far exceed yours. What do you have to say about this? Tong Luyun was surrounded by people. She looked at the microphones that were constantly handed to her. She couldn't even maintain her smile, and her face was as pale as a fool. Sorry, the manager stopped the entertainment reporters who were swarming up. We don't have time for interviews at the moment, so please leave immediately. Security personnel came to drive them away, and the entertainment reporters had no choice but to leave. But all the questions they asked hit Tong Luyun's painful feet accurately, leaving her almost breathless. The manager asked the driver to immediately drive back to the hotel where the crew was staying. While calling other people in the team, he said helplessly, Luo Yun, have you seen it all? The way you deal with other people doesn't work with Fucking at all. Tong Luyun's method has already suppressed many Xiahua. The agent just turned a blind eye and allowed her to do this. But this time, it was Tong Luyun herself who fell off the altar. Tong Luyun pursed her lips and said nothing. The agent shook his head and sighed. The cell phone rang at this moment. It is an execution broker. Brother Lu, all the major brands want to terminate their contracts with us. The executive manager was sweating profusely and said anxiously, they say we are the party at fault and have caused a huge negative impact internationally, and they want us to pay liquidated damages. What impact will it have internationally? The agent frowned. Didn't you already delete all the clips that should be deleted? Tong Luyun has a backing, but she is not like a star who relies solely on financial backers. She really relied on her own strength to win 3 gold medals for Best Actress and 3 gold medals for Best Actress. It can't be deleted completely, the assistant stammered. There are also clips leaked on the internet. The agent immediately turned on his computer and saw that Tong Lu-yun's name appeared on several international social forums. Tong Lu-yun has not been on the hot search on the internet. This is the first time, but in this way, the negative impact is immeasurable. The agent's hands shook. This is bad. Tong Lu-yun can be successful in domestic entertainment, but she has not received any performance awards internationally. She didn't win an award, but negative news appeared first, which will make her path in the international entertainment industry even more difficult. Tong Lu-yun also thought of this. Her lips trembled. What should I do? Before the agent said anything, the executive agent called again. Brother Lu, there is nothing we can do. The brand has already posted on Weibo, and we are now facing prosecution from the brand. The agent hurriedly checked the brand name in the studio's attention list. After clicking on it, his eyes couldn't help but darken. At Morgenstern GmbH, from now on, the Morgenstern brand will terminate all cooperation with Ms. Tong Lu-yun and resolutely oppose any behavior that harms the interests of the public. At Xyle Milk V, the contract has been terminated. At Multidimensional Sports Brand V, officially announced the termination of the contract with Ms. Tong Lu-yun. Major brands have terminated their contracts one after another. Tong Lu-yun's business was completely ruined. Those who have monthly tickets, give Ching Ching a try. Break 2500. I'll update you all in the afternoon. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 540. Well done. Tong Lu-yun originally worshipped foreigners, so she thought she was already an international first-line actor just because she was playing a supporting role. Sci-fi was even the heroine that Chu Lingyun had chosen long ago, and she wasn't so arrogant. What are you so arrogant about? The local dogs dare not speak for fear of being scolded by the superior Tong Yinghao. Today we are going to be local dogs and see how Tong Lu-yun collapses her house. Tong Lu-yun's fans began a new round of decline, losing hundreds of thousands in the blink of an eye. These were the group of fans who paid the most attention to her. This is a serious consequence that the broker, including the entire team, did not expect. In the era when Tong Lu-yun rose to prominence, there was no such thing as a top star or a fandom, but she was the queen of ratings. The TV series in which she first starred as a protagonist was the annual ratings champion, and her national popularity were no worse than those of a top star. More importantly, Tong Lu-yun's acting skills are the best among the big stars of her generation. The new generation in the entertainment industry does not have enough ability to pick up ratings and box office like her, so all the resources are concentrated on her. Several small flowers with spiritual energy were suppressed by Tong Lu-yun in various ways, and until now they have been hidden and unable to come forward. Until she met Sci-fi. Tong Lu-yun encountered a series of failures in her smooth career. Each time she suffered a setback, she lost her wife and lost her army. It seemed that all methods failed to work on Sci-fi. This incident is indeed Tong Lu-yun's fault, and the brand has the right to require her to pay liquidated damages. Although these dozens of brands are not as high as international luxury brands like RM, they are still big brands, and the total penalty for liquidated damages is nearly 10 digits. Tong Lu-yun has made a lot of money in the entertainment industry over the years, but in order to open up her path in the international entertainment industry, she has spent a lot of money, and she simply cannot come up with so much cash in a short period of time. Tong Lu-yun's face turned pale and she was completely panicked. Lu, brother Lu, what should I do? What else can I do now? The manager pursed his lips and said weakly, you have a good relationship with Song Wenhua. At that time, her reputation as a top student suddenly collapsed. I suppressed you and stopped you from speaking. You finally escaped, but why are you so dissatisfied? If he had just given up when he had a head-on confrontation with Sci-fi for the first time, he wouldn't have reached this point today. Tong Lu Yun opened her mouth and couldn't say a word. Her heart was like an ant bite, her internal organs were aching, her heart seemed to be tightly grasped by a big hand, and she couldn't breathe. There is nothing we can do. The manager shook his head and said with compassion, Lo Yun, just take care of yourself. Stab dash. The car stopped suddenly on the side of the road, the door opened with a bang, and the manager got out of the car, abandoning Tong Lu Yun. In fact, although this matter has caused a big fuss, it is not without a chance to save it. Even Su Jianian, who has been found out in the entertainment industry, still has a group of idiot fans to support him, and Tong Lu Yun will not be in trouble to the point of withdrawing from the industry. She can still make money by going live. But the manager knew that no matter what he did, he could not change Tong Lu Yun's mind, so he cut his losses in time. He would rather part ways with Tong Lu Yun than get entangled with her anymore. There was dead silence in the car. The assistant said in confusion, Tong, Sister Tong, where are we going now? Tong Lu Yun broke out in a cold sweat. She grabbed the handle and shouted hysterically, quick! Quick, go to the hotel where Sci-fi is staying. There is Sister Sang. There is Sister Sang, she will definitely save me, she will. Sang Yanking was her sweetheart. They walked hand in hand for 5 years and passed the most difficult time. Sci-fi only stayed with Sang Yanking for 1 year. As long as Sang Yanking asks Sci-fi to stop, she will still have a chance. Tong Lu Yun believed that Sang Yanking would not ignore death. She is going to find Sang Yanking now. However, Tong Lu Yun did not succeed in meeting Sang Yanking. Because when she arrived at the hotel where Sci-fi was staying, she was told that Sci-fi had gone to Green International Airport an hour ago and had already boarded a plane. She could only order her assistant to book a ticket for her back to the Great Xia Empire. After returning to Bizhu, the first thing Sci-fi did was to put on costumes, pick up a spear, and urge director Lu to film. Time is money, and it's a shame to waste even a second. Director Lu. Teacher Si has already done enough math, but Chu Lingyun actually has more math than her? When two film kings meet, what kind of movie will they create? Director Lu had no choice but to ask the photography team to take their places, and then ask the staff to set up the scene, while he sat in front of the surveillance screen. In the sky, drones were deployed to record aerial views from above. Sang Yanking brought a few glasses of water to the crew. Director Lu, we are quite dedicated to Ching Ching. We even forget our own names when we are working. Please be more considerate. There is a shortage of dedicated and good actors like Mr. Si. Director Lu said cheerfully, I just didn't expect that I would be urged to film. He took a sip of water and stared at the monitor screen. Today's scene is very important. It is a group scene and uses a lot of props. It is best if it can be done in one go. Sister Sang. At this time, the agent's assistant came over and lowered his voice, Tong Lu Yun is here to see you. Come to me. Sang Yanking narrowed his eyes and smiled, I have nothing to do with her and she still has the nerve to come to me. Okay, let's go out and see what she wants to do. She said hello to Director Lu and left the director's room. At the entrance of the valley, Tong Lu Yun was sitting uneasy and very anxious. After seeing Sang Yanking, her eyes lit up and she quickly stepped forward, Sister Sang, I. Sang Yanking had no intention of listening to her words and turned sideways. Tong Lu Yun did not stop her momentum, staggered a few steps and fell to the ground. Tears fell from her eyes. Sister Sang. Tong Lu Yun, stop engaging in relationships. Sang Yan said calmly, have you forgotten what you did to me before? I don't care about you, so you think I don't care. Tong Lu Yun was startled, and the past memories suddenly occupied her mind at this moment. Her lips trembled, and her face showed fear. Remember, Sang Yanking squatted down and patted her face, you added insult to injury before I retreated from the circle and ruined my reputation. Now you want to ask me for help? There is no way. She would not have a heart attack and pity those who had hurt her. Tong Lu Yun opened her mouth. Sister Sang, it was you who gave me a foothold in the entertainment industry. You can't. Yes, I'm just telling you that I polished you from stone to jade with my own hands, and I can also turn you into stone again, Sang Yanking said with a smile. Facts have proved that without me, you are nothing. This is a world of difference between you and Ching Ching. She can shine wherever she goes. Tong Lu Yun's lips trembled fiercely, her face turned pale. Indeed, after Sang Yanking retired from the industry, she has been unable to break through her previous self. Over the years, she has been resting on her laurels, and she was able to win awards only because the younger generation did not work hard. This was also the reason why she couldn't stand Sci-fucking from the beginning. Why didn't Sang Yanking come back to take her with him? It turns out that Sang Yanking knows everything. Tong Lu Yun's face was pale and she wanted to pull Sang Yanking's clothes, but Sang Yanking was too lazy to say anything to her. Let's go. The agent's assistant quietly gave a thumbs up. Sister Sang, you are amazing, you have the demeanor of teacher Si. Of course, there are just as many artists as there are managers, Sang Yanking said. Today's drama is very important. I'm going to order takeout. In a moment dash. Boom. The explosion sounded suddenly, and the ground shook. Meanwhile, right in the center of the valley. Hearing the explosion, Sci-fucking did not move forward. She narrowed her fox eyes, fixed her gaze, and suddenly said, "No. Get down." As soon as she said it, she suddenly held down the two young actors beside her and immediately fell down. Although the others didn't understand her move, they subconsciously followed her and rolled to the ground. At the same moment, a loud boom exploded in their ears, almost shattering their eardrums. What followed was a billowing heat wave and smoke. The backs of the two young actors were already cold. They had no idea what was happening. They both clenched Sci-fucking's clothes. Sister Si. Is everything okay? Sci-fucking coughed, his eyes sharp. Don't move, it's not over yet. As if to reflect her words, as soon as she finished speaking, there was a series of roars, as if at the end of the doomsday, someone screamed. The scope of the gunpowder explosion was not small. When the first sound exploded, relevant staff immediately came forward to check. But before they could pass, they were blocked by the next explosion. The drone was blown down and the surveillance screen was completely black. Director Liu finally realized something was wrong. He stood up suddenly and left the director's room. Sang Yanking also rushed in from the outside. He wiped the ashes from his face and grabbed a staff member who was knocked to the ground by the shock wave. What's going on? Today's scene involves a gunpowder explosion. This is what really happened in history. Zhang Ziyu was trapped in the valley, and the barbarians planned to blow her up with gunpowder. Continuous explosions shook the valley, but Zhang Ziyu still managed to escape with the remaining 10 soldiers and successfully removed the head of the opposing general. This made the barbarians even more frightened, and at the same time strengthened their determination to let Zhang Ziyu die. Although the crew adhered to history and recreated the scene faithfully, all they used were specially customized fake explosives. Only sound and smoke could produce such great power. How is this going? The staff was also stunned. It took a long time before they finally uttered a sentence with difficulty. Those explosives that exploded, well, it seems to be real. When Sang Yanking heard this, his eyes darkened. What about Ching Ching? The staff member opened his mouth. Teacher Si just entered the explosion range. There was no need for the staff to continue talking. Sang Yanking also knew that Sci-fucking, as the protagonist, must be at the center of the explosion. Tong Lu Yun, who also wanted to beg Sang Yanking to follow him, heard this sentence and was stunned for a moment, and then she was ecstatic. Sci-fucking is dead?